So
that gives you an idea as well.
It gives you a ballpark idea of what that property is. Now, I mean, is it wholly accurate? No. Unfortunately, it's not.
Yeah.
Because, they only reevaluate those every couple years.
True, and it's always going to be under market value because
usually.
Yeah.
Usually. Not always, but usually. Typically, it'll be under market.
Yep.
Whereas a lot of your other sites, like Realtor.com, Trulia, Zillow, all of those, I find to have slightly higher.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to know if you start with your tax appraisal number and go, okay, well, it's being appraised at this, and Zillow puts it at this, it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle.
And as far I know, we're used to talking about, and you hear this a lot of this vernacular and these terminologies and stuff like that. But if you have any, questions about some of the terms that we're using, then,
other people will too.
Yeah,
other teenagers watching this will too.
I had one question. So when you mentioned the appraisal district, it sounds like it's an actual physical place you have to go. I mean, is it online?
It's online.
I mean, there is a physical building. There are people that work in that building, but what we're talking about is going online. So like for Tarrant County, and what we'll be doing is we'll be going to the Tarrant County Appraisal District. So it's tcad.org.
.org, yeah.
And all of them in Texas are .org. But it's the Tarrant County Appraisal District, and you can Google it. Whatever county you're in, you can do,
Whatever county you are in the nation, just go tax appraisal district for that county that property is sitting in.
And you'll be able to find the website. And when you go to the website, there is a search option, and you go into that search option and you plug in the address. You can also plug in people's names to find out how many properties they own. So some of these, that's a whole nother show, but some of these you can just look up, they've got 5 different properties. All of them look this bad.
Right.
Maybe they want to sell all of them.
Maybe they want to sell all of them. Yeah, you might not get that one, but but I don't want to sell that one, but I do want to sell these 2.
Yeah.
These 2 other ones. So that happens. A lot.
So going to the county appraisal district, that's a really good question. You go in there, it is a website, and you can do this research, and it'll give you a lot of information on the property itself.
And also make sure and read when you are searching on the appraisal districts, make sure and read specifically how to type that in. What I find is that they don't allow you to put in any street or drive or anything. It is purely
I always
the name.
leave that off. Yeah.
But again, but there will be some people who will call me up and go, hey, I searched and I can't get it to pull up in taxes. Okay, well that's because you're not doing just the bare minimum to kind of search it up. So
So once you have the property, then and the person who owns it, so it may show up that actual property address. So maybe they still live there. If it shows up that it's a different property address, then that's probably where they live, and this is an inherited property, a property they took on as an investment, a property they moved out of, and now they're living in an apartment somewhere and they need to get rid. You never know, but I usually, if I'm trying to contact them, I might use both addresses, but what you really want to do after you do that is you got to look up the person who owns it.
Right. And I just showed you an amazing website that I use, which is called fastpeoplesearch.com.
Mm-hmm.
It is free, and a lot of those that you go into, I hate them because all of a sudden it starts scrolling and goes, searching social media, searching this.
Yeah, because we got on one of those.
And you're like, it says it's searching all this stuff. Yeah. I'm like, no, that's the wrong site, because those, they bait you with a little bit of information.
And then they want you to pay
a lot
for the report.
Right. So fastpeoplesearch.com does not make you pay anything, and it provides phone numbers. Not all of them are current or correct, but you can get a lot of cell phone numbers, landlines. You can also get email addresses. And we
searched me, and it came up with definitely one of there were several email addresses, but email's free. So if you got to send out 50
one of the
emails, one of them was my email. And so one of them was a correct email, and then it had my home address, which you would already have if you looked up the appraisal district.
Right.
But it had my address, it had my mother's address, It had relatives.
And all
then,
I did was type in her name.
yes.
And I put Arlington, Texas because I knew that, but
Yep.
you might not know that. So you can put in just anybody's name and put a state.
But this is all public data, so it's
It is.
out there. But a lot of websites to put it all in one place, they want to charge you. But what we're trying to show you is there is free data out there for you to find. So if this is something that you want to do, there's a free way to find it.
Right.
So
now you've got phone numbers.
Mhm.
You need to call all those phone numbers. If you've got a way to leave a message on any of them, leave a message.
Yep.
And then emails. Send it to all those email addresses too. And I basically, I had a great one time, and I called, I just searched it out, and I found this phone number, and I'm like, okay. So I called it up, and it was like a auto body shop in California. And I'm like, well, this is weird. It's to buy like an East Dallas property, but auto body shop in California, why not? So I left a voicemail. And like a day later, I got a phone call back from the owner of the property, and he goes, how did you even find us? He goes, that's like my business partner's like side jobs, like voicemail. And I was like, it was online. And so I called it, and he goes, yeah, you want to buy that house? Absolutely. And so I ended up buying that house from these guys.
yeah, that's random. That is random.
It is. But you know what? You never know. So you want to call all of those numbers, and email anything you find.
And do you think it's worth it, like, especially with whenever we looked you up, some of the emails are like bellsoft dot, like obviously really old email.
Bellsoft.net.
Yeah.
Well,
Why
some
not?
people, that's why I'm saying, like, if email's free. It's one thing when you
People
have
still
50,
have AOL.com.
It's one thing whenever well, heck, the one that you looked up was a Hotmail. Yes, I still have a Hotmail account.
Yours was like a Hotmail,
Yeah,
and it works.
It's not my one I use all the time, but yeah, I still got it.
I have 7 email addresses that are on my phone now that I check all the time.
That's just one of those things. So you type in 5 email addresses into one line, and it's still just one email. So why wouldn't you? But the only time that it starts to cost you is when you're doing mailers, and that's if you're doing a large scale stuff. Like these people who are doing, like, the Max Maxwell that you watched, when Daniel was doing it, like crazy. Like the mailers that he sent out alone was $5,000 worth of, marketing material and stamps and all that. It was a lot of money. It can add up if you're doing mailers, but emails,
right,
all day.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I would do emails, and just like phone calls. Phone calls don't cost any money either.
No. And the other way too is to leave a little note on the door. So if you're having problems getting a hold of them, just drive over there, knock, knock, knock. Are you interested in selling? Or just leave like a little note on the door that says, I'd really like to buy your house. Here's my phone number. Obviously, if they haven't responded to anything else, they might not be interested in selling it, but.
Yeah, but another
least,
thing that we found, that we know from being in real estate as long as we have, is diligence is key as well. So, it's one of those things that maybe you stay after somebody for 4 months, you keep that address, that house just keeps looking bad.
Right.
You keep that address, and you're like, how about now?
Well,
how about now?
And the other thing that everybody needs to know, don't be disappointed by no.
Yeah, just means no right now.
No right now. Yeah, exactly. And it's a numbers game.
Yes, it is.
So the more houses you can start with, and I have a friend who, he teaches people how to wholesale, and he, mentors them, and he tells them that he goes, go out and get me 1,000 addresses. That's a lot of addresses, and my whole thing is, if you come out with 20 after your first round of driving, start working those right away.
Yep.
There's no reason to not, and then go out and do another round. Don't go, okay, I'm going to wait and see what happens with these. You just keep going and going and going. Get as many as you can. Call, email, send a letter if you have to, put a note, knock on the door, but you just keep going and keep going, because eventually you're going to get one.
Because that, like she just said, it's a numbers game.
It is. So that first 20, it might take you 50.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, okay, now you've driven by and you've been contacting, and your 50th one, oh my gosh, we got a house.
Yep.
So yeah, it's good.
Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way, move. Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way, move. Get out the way.
Get the Propelio mobile app and drive for dollars today, all without leaving your car.